Hello guys, Assalamu alaikum. This is Mevishir, your coach. Today I am back after so many months. I don't even remember the last time I did a podcast. Guys, it's been a journey. But today I am back with another guest. He is an amazing person and I'm super happy to have him come forward and share his story and learn from his story. He has so much to share with you through his story, a message he wants to send out to the world, a message he wants to send out to all you people. I hope that today's story will inspire you. Guys, without any further delay, my friend is already in the house. I'm going to bring him on. So I'm going to send him the invite and we will take it from there. It's been a while, guys, so just bear with me. Just bear with me. I've just lost. Oh, there he is. Hello
How are
there.
you?
Good. How are you?
Well, not too bad. Just doing
Let's
a bunch of running around, so.
I hear ya. Let's have a little bit of introduction. Well, you know how it goes. You've been on my podcast before, so let's have a little introduction about you, and we'll take it from there.
A little bit about me. Well, what can you say? As you can see, I'm a male. Figuring I'm an ex-military. Figuring, and I used to do cage fighting as well. So I'm just trying to bring the stigma of this narcissism and these, I guess, how should you say? People targeting like just primarily men when it's everybody, not just men, not just women, it's everybody that bring narcissism to light, sort of thing. And for me to speak about it, I have no problem about it because I hear a lot. Well, it's great that you're being vulnerable and everything else. It's like I'm being human, and it's a human emotion, and I've been dealt a lot of things in life, and to overcome a lot and to deal with narcissism, I got to say it's probably by far one of the worst things I've ever had to deal with.
Wow.
You know,
I know that on my previous podcasts with you also, you said that being in the military wasn't as tough as facing narcissism in your life.
yeah.
That's a massive statement. Could you elaborate that? What did you feel? What did you go through when you were targeted as a victim?
In the military or
No, 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 no. In narcissism.
with narcissism, it's been the fact that the targeting, it's more of a mind game than it ever was like with the military. I
Mm,
would hear the fact that, oh, I love you, but you have to do this for me, and if you don't do this for me, then obviously you don't love me. It's like those little mind games where it's,
manipulation.
yeah, the manipulation is a big factor in it.
Hmm.
And my biggest thing was I should have seen the red flags, but I didn't. The alcoholism, and that was a huge factor. And I've come to notice that a lot of the narcissists that I've met, they have some sort of dependent, whether it
Hmm.
be drugs, alcohol, whatever it may be. But then it
Hmm.
fuels them to such a point where they do nasty things. And being an empath and everything, and seeing how people are, and with them feeding off of it, it's yeah, it's it's done a lot of damage. Like financially, emotionally, mentally, it's done quite a bit. And luckily for me, I can't say I've moved on, but I've learned. So I guess you can say I have moved on because I've learned a lot from it.
Right, right. And like you said,
Hey,
that
Miss Frank.
narcissists have a tendency to depend on something, some kind of abuse, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs or
Mhm.
something. I think that is because it's exhausting. Not being able to live your authentic self. Basically, they're empty from inside,
Yeah.
and to overcome and combat that emptiness,
Mhm.
uh, they choose victims, but on top of that, they need the supply.
Yeah.
So the alcohol and the drug is a part of numbing their emotions. Furthermore, so they do not feel it because they know that feeling it is going to make it real. So
Yeah.
I think that is where the dependency comes towards alcohol and drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you said that you feel like you've moved on, but
Mhm.
you've also learned a lot. Why
Yeah.
don't you shed some light on what have you learned from your personal
Oh,
experience?
a lot of big words, that's for starters.
All right.
It's like what Glad says. Like, yeah, you learn to survive,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's unfortunate that when you become a genuine person, just as Glad says, you know, people tend to see that and they feed off of that. So it's
Right.
just a matter of these narcissists feeding off the empathy sort of thing.
Mm,
And from what I've learned to cut ties with a lot of people. Unfortunately, it's a lot easier said than done because
right.
for me personally, I still try to see the good in everybody,
Mm,
and I guess that's part of being empathetic. Is I'm always there pardon my language, but to protect people, and look after people,
mm,
and it's really really tough because
mm.
I believe there's good in everybody in this world. It doesn't matter how
True.
bad you are. There's good in everybody.
Mm,
Unfortunately, some of these people would rather go the other way and use this negativity towards, like, a demise of somebody.
mm.
And luckily for
Right.
me, like, I've I've met someone that has been like absolutely amazing, and it's like to be with another empath. It's kind of different, but it's refreshing.
Mm.
And now with what's going on now, like everything's moving forward now, and it's been a while, but things it's a roller coaster ride, and
Mm.
it's whether or not you want to get off of it or not.
Right, right. So can you shed some light on when was this relationship with the narc and how long were you with this person?
I was with her for about a year, and that was about 2 years ago, I think. My memory's bad, so forgive me.
It's
But
okay.
but yeah, it was about 2 years ago, and it got to a point where she had put me into a high speed chase. Uh, and what else? She keyed my vehicle. She trashed my apartment, and it was all, well, it's your fault. I was like,
Mm,
well, I didn't tell you to key my vehicle, so how is it my fault? She's like, well, you
mm,
wouldn't answer my phone call. Like she literally stood up, like sat outside my apartment for 5 days, and then when I finally
mm,
came out, like I went into hiding because of this.
mm,
And then I go to the police, and police don't do anything. The police where I live are ridiculous, and it's unfortunate. They say, well, yeah, well, because I'm a combat soldier or an ex-combat soldier, that it's they didn't care because I didn't fear for my life. I'm like, well, no, it's a nuisance. But
mm,
for me to act upon it and say, okay, well, then fine, I'm going to take the law into my own hands and settle this the old fashioned way sort of thing, then
mm,
what happens? Then I go to jail. So,
mm,
it's just not worth it.
mm. Yes.
Exactly,
Uh,
Gladys.
Glad says that it's always your fault and they
Yeah,
would never take accountability for that. Absolutely. They
yeah,
project their own mistakes on you
yeah,
and they make you doubt yourself through putting you in that state of confusion where you start to uh, really think that did this really happen, am I making up, did I really say that,
yeah,
and in the beginning you put it exactly like the mind games. It's the mind games, it's the manipulation and mind games
yeah,
that once you wrap your head around it, okay, this is what's going on, and you try to confront them, they already have another game on.
yeah,
And now you're back in the loop where now you're again saying, oh, okay, I was right then, but now what's happening? So
yeah,
it keeps on going on till either you lose your sanity or you just give in to the abuse and say, this is my reality.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You're always having to prove yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest factor. Like you're always having to prove yourself, whether or not it's proving things you did or things you didn't do and everything else, but it's always the fact that you have to prove yourself. Like I
Mm.
know the one instance that I had, we had broken up, and next thing you know, she comes at me saying, "Well, yeah, you're hitting on 20-year-old girls and all this garbage." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Doesn't
Mm.
matter anyway because we're not together." And she's like, "Well, yeah, you're hitting on a 20-year-old girl at this bar." Well, it just so happens I know the owner of the bar, and I'm like, "Well, let's go down, let's go talk." I said, "Because
Mm.
he'll tell you I've never been here." And
Mm.
she's like, "Oh, well, I don't believe you." I'm like, "Well, let's go down and talk. You want to hear it? Then let's hear it." Says because
Mm.
he'll tell you I've never been there. So
Mm.
yeah, it is glad I'm telling you, it is so exhausting. And
Yes, it is. Yes. It's
uh,
emotionally draining and exhausting, and you lose your sense of bearing with it.
yeah,
Uh, you, when you look back,
hmm
can you tell me the earlier red flags that were there, but you didn't see them, or
oh, I saw
you?
them. I just ignored them. That's all.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Right.
Yeah.
So, can you just tell a few or share a few with the audience?
First red flag was that she didn't work. Second red flag is that she lived with her parents. Third red flag was she drank.
Oh.
So those are three major red flags within 20 minutes. But
Ooh.
you know, I didn't think too much of it. Then we started talking, and she was saying how she wants to get her life on track and everything else. And I thought, you know, I'll see what I can do to help you.
Right.
And then she's saying about looking for a job, and because of where I'm at, I know a lot of people. That I was like, okay, here I'll make a few phone calls to get you a job. And she's like, well, I want to do this. So I made a few more phone calls, got her a job lined up. Well, she decided she was going to drink the next, like the day before, and then she's like, well, I don't feel like going in today because I'm a bit hungover.
Oh my
So
God.
what's my
What
coping
was your
mechanism?
coping mechanism? Hurry up.
Uh, my coping mechanism, for me, it was always fight or flight.
Hmm.
And, a lot of times I'd want to defend myself, but I'm slowly learning not to defend myself anymore because I've been like, just as of recent, my character was attacked because of
Hmm.
another girl.
Hmm.
And it's like, for me, it's one thing to attack me, but to attack my character for being a bad person, it's like, well, prove how I was a bad person. But
Hmm.
then they took it a step further. They involved the authorities and they involved my son. And that's where it's like I draw the line. So it's like, so I'm slowly dealing with that. And the person I'm with now, she's absolutely amazing. She calms me down. Even driving.
Right, right. Did I lose you there? I think we are reconnecting with him. Just give us a few seconds, guys. I think he's in the car, so let's see. I hope I can bring him back. Guys, if you can hear me, could you type in the comments section that you can hear me, you can see me? Oh, there we go. I lost him. I think he was having some technical issue there. Let's try to bring him back. I think he's in the car. So, oops. Okay, no. There we go. Let's see if we can. Oh, he's here.
There we
There,
go.
he's back.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's like, it's coming full circle. It's like not only for yourself, but for people around you. It's realizing the people around you that actually, like, pardon my language, would give a shit about you.
Hmm.
And,
Right.
it's reaching out to people and wanting to help people. And I've got a Discord as well. And all the people in my Discord, they were, I guess, outcasts, you can say.
Okay.
And, they all vent to me. And, I appreciate that because they know my story and they know they can always talk to me. There's some days where I'm on the phone with people in Australia and everything else till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
How does one deal
Hmm.
with flying monkeys? That is a tough one because I just like I said, I just went through that, and you know that the flying monkeys part is a really, really tough one because I've had accounts banned because of these flying monkeys reporting
Mm,
me for harassment and everything else. Meanwhile, I'm like, really? So
mm.
I laugh at it, and it's tough.
I
But you know,
think for flying monkeys and the narcissism or for toxic people,
mhm,
the one thing I would advise and say is these people live on your fuel. They live on your reaction, not
yeah,
your response. They live
yeah,
on your reaction. They feed on your reaction. So whether it's the flying monkey, whether it's the toxic person, or whether it's the narcissist
yeah,
themselves, you do not engage in their drama.
yeah,
When you take a step back and say, my peace is more important, and I know where this going towards,
yeah,
so I would just take a step back and not engage. I
yeah,
think that's where you diffuse the flying monkeys, you
yeah.
diffuse
But
the narcissist.
it can be
Sorry, go
tough
ahead.
though. Yeah,
Yeah,
it can be tough
it's
with
not
the
easy, I'm not
yes,
saying it's easy, but
yeah,
like you said, your character was put on challenge,
yeah,
and you were like, this is something that I'm not going to sit on. So
yeah,
that's where you took a stand, right? But for the most part, I think it's best not to engage with them, because that's what they're looking for. When you engage, they say, here, see,
yeah,
that's what I was talking about. This is your problem. You are the problem, because
yeah,
look at the way you are
yeah. I
responding.
guess one of the unfortunate parts is the law because I'm actually involved in a matter right now. Like I'm in Canada,
Right.
and this whole thing that's just recently happened. This happened over the web, and there was doxing involved, which released people's private information. Well, the
Oh,
FBI is involved. That's
wow.
how big this has gotten. The FBI is actually involved.
My
These people
God.
live up in Canada. Meanwhile, they've been doxing people in the States. And I've got nothing to hide. And they actually tried to hire me to go down and take care of this guy. That's how crazy this doxing is. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, are you that
Mm,
sick in the head? But
mm,
because I fought in the ring and I'm a combat soldier, they figured, well, I'm a hired hitman. And it's like, and like I've talked to the sheriff's department, I've talked to the state police, and I've told them, I says, I've got nothing to hide. I'll speak my truth. And if you want to call me a liar, call me a liar because I've got the evidence.
mm.
So this, like, people hide behind social media, and
Of
that's
course,
the
we
whole
all know
trouble.
that. Mm,
Yeah. And I know I made a comment on the one. I know I shouldn't have, but I did. But I says, yeah, maybe I'll go down here and I'll have a chat with these keyboard warriors.
mm.
Well, the next thing you know, I'm getting flagged. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh my
But that's the
goodness.
thing, I get tired of it because some of these people, they come out and they try and call out people, but then they hide behind their keyboard, behind their screen name. And it's like,
Mm,
well, I'll tell everybody, like, mind you, there's only 5 people. My name is Michael. You can call me Michael. I've got nothing to hide. I was in a
mm,
chat room one time. I posted my phone number. Like,
mm.
I've got nothing to hide from anybody.
Right.
And because I'm always going to be there for everybody. Anybody that
Mm.
follows me and everything else, exactly, Glads, they're masked. And
Yes.
it's unfortunate because I still see the good in all these people that have done me wrong.
Mm,
And people say, well, why care about those people? Because they don't care about you. And I think the biggest factor is because I care for human beings.
mm,
Doesn't matter your color, doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your sex. It doesn't matter. This whole world, pardon my language, this whole world is fucked because of people segregating this, segregating that. And I hear, oh yeah, well no, this Black Lives Matter or this All Lives Matter. There's differentiating, and it's like it doesn't matter. Every
mm.
human is the same,
Right.
and it's getting so frustrating. And
Mm,
exactly, buds. And
mm,
but it's frustrating because
mm,
why can't people just care about one another and just
mm.
love one another? Uh,
Right. So Mike, tell me now that you can see that you are a person who sees the good in people, you are a empath, a highly sensitive empath. Knowing that about yourself, is it empowering? Do you know how to manage those qualities, or do you still fall in place where people are can still use you because of your goodness?
I do fall, but I recognize it a lot better.
Right.
So it's for me. I try to associate myself with better people, and if I can help somebody, and they actually are willing to listen to me, then I'll do the best I can. Like I will offer my opinion, but don't get mad at me if I offer you an opinion that you don't like.
Mm.
I recently had on Twitter a female blocked me because she made a comment about how she lied to a therapist, and that she gave her ex what was it? Gave her ex her number a few times, and she blocked me because I said, the therapist is there to help you,
Mm.
so you shouldn't have to lie to your therapist. It's like
Yeah,
because
true.
your therapist doesn't know you or them from a hole in the ground, so they're just trying to
Mm.
help you and
Mm.
dissect everything.
Mm.
I said, but you lying to them, it's not helping yourself. Well,
True.
next thing you know, I get blocked. So it's like, yeah, okay, obviously you're
Right,
playing
right.
the victim, and that's the one thing like that read that I'd sent you about Darvel, and
Yeah, yeah.
and reading about Darvel, it's like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like it
Mm.
opened my eyes up to a lot. Like you know, the I guess the perpetrator playing victim and everything else, and turning the tide against you.
Mm.
Like yeah, it's come down to where people are doing this now, and it's like
Mm.
why? Like you know, a friend of mine, he passed away a few years back, and his message still is strong with me. And it's respect one another, unite with each other, love one another for all eternity. And it was his acronym for rule. And
Mm.
he was my best friend, and he'd passed away at a very young age. But
I'm
that was
sorry
his
for your
acronym.
loss.
And so for his acronym, it stands so strong with me. And because of the fact that it means so much. When he passed away, there was like over 600 people at his service, and for that message to be passed on with that 600, I still try and preach that all the time to everybody, just to
Mm.
respect one another, unite with each other, and love one another for all eternity.
Right,
Because
right.
it's this world is it this world has gone chaotic, and
True.
people have to realize we're not going to be around for too much longer.
Mm.
And
Mm.
you know, being in narcissistic relationships and that, and seeing how people can manipulate others to a point where you're at a suicidal rate.
True.
And that was my issues because I do have PTSD, I have anxiety, I have depression. I
Mm.
even got diagnosed with having IED. So, from my time in the military, then coming out and dealing with a narcissist was a whole new ballgame.
Mm.
But at the same time, like military did teach me one thing is how to survive. Like, yeah, there were times when I thought, putting a bullet in my head would be better off because I just didn't want to fight anymore.
Mm.
And there's different ways of fighting.
Mm.
And, it's
Mm.
it's it's a sad thing where people
It
want to
is.
corrupt somebody.
It is.
What's even worse is when people claim that they're empath and then they do narcissistic things.
Mm.
And I've had that happen to me where it's like they're going to manipulate and they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And it's tough. Exactly. It's
Yes, that's true.
glad
Yes.
I'm telling you it is. It's
Yes.
for the stuff I go through alone. Like friends of mine, like my close friends, they just look at me and they shake their head and they're like, "I'm actually shocked that you're still around
Mm.
because because of a lot of the stuff I've been through."
Okay.
And
Mike, I'm so sorry to hear that. Tell me, you were in the military. I
mhm,
want you to shed some light on these things with these stigmas and this mindset where people are labeled and put in boxes. So
mhm,
now you're in the military, but you were in a relationship where you were emotionally abused, and that was more tough, which I'm getting from
yep,
you, was more
yep.
tough to handle and get over. So talk about that, being a man, number one, and then being an ex-military. How has the world or your inner circle supported you or not supported you? What were your challenges?
Um, for the longest time, I didn't say anything to anybody. I just, as we put it in the military, you suck it up, you soldier on, you move forward, and that's it. And I did that for the longest time. And then finally, I was at a breaking point where, I was actually hospitalized because of the fact, you know, I didn't want to go on anymore.
Mm.
And so it got to a point where in the military, you are pretty much, you're just a number to them, but you are held to such a high accountability for everything. And it almost seems the narcissist works the same way, where you're held at such a high accountability, but in a negative manner.
Mm.
And if you screw up in the military, well, I don't know how it is now, but when you screwed up in the military, chances are you're going to jail. So that was always
Oh,
that fear.
okay.
So even like this shaving here, oh yeah, I'd be in jail. So,
Oh my gosh, okay.
oh, but yeah, and then it just with the narcissist, it became where if you didn't do something for them, then they
Punish
would
you.
they would belittle you, or they would just like play a mind game with you
Mm.
and saying, well, obviously you don't love me and you don't want to do this and you don't want to do that. And I'm like, well, no, I don't feel like going to the bar every night and sitting there drinking every night. Like, I'd actually like to go out and see life, sort of thing, and live life.
Mm.
And so yeah, like in the military, I did enough drinking while I was in the military, so didn't need to do it anymore.
Right, right.
So and then it's changed a lot. In these
Mm.
last few years, like I've been on such a roller coaster. Like you've seen, like I took a hiatus from a lot of things, and
Mm.
it's just a matter of bringing peace back to my life.
Mm. Right, right.
And
So when you went for the first time, whether
mhm,
was it your close friend, whether it was a family member, whoever, when you confided into somebody close to you
yep.
that, hey, I'm being emotionally abused, this is what happened to me, what was their reaction? Was there a supportive reaction? Was it that they couldn't believe it? No, it can't
Um,
be.
I guess for the first little bit, because it wasn't just an overnight thing.
Hmm.
So for the first little bit, everybody's like, get rid of her, and blah blah blah. And it's like for the first few days, they'd listen to me, and then after that, they'd be like, well, you're stupid, like just leave. I'm like, well,
Hmm.
it's easier said than done just to leave when you actually give a shit about somebody.
Hmm.
And and I kept on getting that, where then people started just walking away. They didn't want to hear it, and which I understand. But and I'm telling them, like, I'm here to listen. So if you don't want to listen, then you know that's fine. I respect their boundaries in that.
Hmm.
But I believe in friendship. How friendship works is like you ride with them through the depths of hell.
Hmm.
Because I know personally, for me, like with my friends now, I would go the depths of hell for them because they've been there with me from pretty much the day one.
Right, right.
And it's unfortunate because a lot of people, it's like with the flying monkeys. Some
Hmm.
people, they'll be like, oh, I feel bad for you, but they don't want to say anything. And I'm like, well,
Hmm.
you're just as bad if you don't want to
Hmm.
speak up.
Hmm.
And the ones that do speak up, it's just been going on and on. Like
Hmm.
they speak up, and then all of a sudden they get targeted. And I've told
Right,
them, I said, I've got big shoulders, I can take the brunt of it. So that's what has been happening. Is like
right.
they they get, I guess, targeted, but the blame ultimately comes back on me. And I'm like, let the blame fall on me
Mm.
because
Yeah.
I've already dealt with it, and it doesn't matter. But they're like, yeah,
Mm.
but they're doing this to me, they're doing that to me. I'm like, that's what's because you spoke up. Think of it as a power that you've given yourself because you've spoken up against something that was wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Uh, how, what would you say about your healing journey? Where are you at, and how do you feel about it?
I right now, like as of today, I don't know. I'm on cloud nine. Like I spoke with the producer yesterday, and that is just unbelievable what's coming up and everything else. And the girl I'm seeing now, she's unbelievable. And it's like I said, it's a roller coaster.
Mm.
So right now I'm on a high, and am I expecting a low? It could happen, but I can't see it in the near future because everything's just falling into place, and it takes time. It takes a
Yes,
lot of time.
absolutely. Yes,
And
yes.
when you surround yourself with good people and people that are actually genuinely there for you, it
Mm.
makes a world of difference.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and that's like everybody that's watching now and stuff. By all means, hit me up anytime you want. I'll even give you my personal number. Like
Mm.
if you ever have issues in that, like I have no problem doing this for anyone. I've
Mm-hmm.
also become a support worker. I guess an online support worker at Pineapple, which helps people.
Okay.
But I'm still going through all these modules that you have to do to, I guess, complete everything. And it's like, holy smokes, lots of reading.
Oh, okay. What for the people who are listening right now, somebody who's listening who is already stuck in a narcissistic relationship, what message would you want to give them?
Don't give up. Don't give up. There's ways to go around it, and it's not easy. Yeah, exactly. It's one day at a time for me. It's minute by minute, and it's I've lost a few friends. In fact, this year alone, I've lost about 13 people already. And surprisingly enough, only one is from COVID. So I've had to deal with a few suicides and everything else, old age and stuff, and some people that were very close to me. And to go to deal with that and to not really have people around me because I was cutting people out.
Mm.
Like I don't want this. Oh, woe is me, and my condolences. Yeah, it's appreciated, but I deal with things a certain way,
Mm.
but and the one thankful thing though that I'm glad I was never around a narcissist when this had happened,
Mm.
sort of thing, because
Mm.
I know they would have fed off that. They would have fed off, um, I guess, me being down, and they would have been like, well, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. And I would have played into it and be like, yeah, okay, here, let's go here. And then
Mm.
next, I drop $1,000 on a weekend just to go and do something that I shouldn't have done in the first place. And that's what they do. They feed
Yeah.
off that, like your
Mm.
emotions.
Mm.
And so I don't allow it. And
Absolutely.
it's a
Yes.
very very tough thing. And being a male, having this image as oh yeah, well you're a tough guy and everything else. It's like
Mm.
I'm an average person. You know,
Mm.
because yeah, I can hold a weapon or I can fight in the ring. It doesn't make me any less of a person or more of a person with emotion.
True.
And
Absolutely.
that's one of the biggest stigmas I'm trying to break is because I can sit there and I can shed tears, I can laugh, and I can do everything just like anybody else.
Mm.
And it's some of these people that are wanting to come across to me as they're hard asses or they're tough and everything else. It's like, you don't need to be tough with me.
Mm.
And I get that from both men and women.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you're human, you're going to shed a tear or you're going to laugh whatever.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. 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 Uh, we would wrap up our session. Thank you so much. Your story, like before, has always been inspiring. What you've been through, how you survived, and yet you give hope to so many people. I would like to conclude this podcast, but your final words
Yep.
for the audience, and we'll wrap it up on that.
Yep. Any time, like, I'm available anytime for you. Like, me and you, even, like, she popped in today and she said hello and that, and so, but it's like, she's like, between the two of us, we have a pretty good connection. She's like, so,
Mm,
I just want to thank you so much, and thank you everybody that's watching now. And, by all means, if you have anything, you reach out to me, and I'm
right,
available 24/7 for anyone out there.
right. Well, guys, I hope that today's story was inspiring. I hope you learned so much. I think I would conclude by saying from his story that there is always hope,
Hmm.
and you should never give up on you, whether
Yeah.
you have the support around you or not. You should always have your back. You should always know that you're enough and you can get through anything. You just have to have faith in yourself. Take care of yourselves, and I will connect with you all. Sending you so much love. Thank you, guys. Thank you for
Thank you
all
so
the
much.
messages. Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Take care now. Much love
Bye.
to all of you.